What's up, everybody? It's your boy Dylan Spence with How to Records, and I'm about to show you how you can set up your session for mixing and mastering. Let's go. First, we will start by creating a new session. Keyboard command shortcut Control N, Command N for Mac. This will open up the dashboard where you can choose the file type, sample rate, and bit depth amongst other things from your I/O settings, and most importantly, where you can save your session folder. Organization is always key. Your sample rate and bit depth should always match your audio assets sample rate and bit depth in order to avoid any sample rate conversion. The sample rate conversion is good, but there's no point in processing the audio if we don't have to, right? Make sure that you have interleave checked. This will prevent Pro Tools from exporting one left and one right mono file and export them as a single stereo file like what you would want. So now that our session has been created, we can begin the process of importing our tracks and begin setting up our session for mixing. Alright, so we're going to start off by importing our tracks. We're going to do that by pressing Command-Shift-I or Control-Shift-I on Windows. Key commands. If you're somebody who obsesses with file structure, then this will be pretty straightforward. Once again, organization is key. Make sure that you click on options at the bottom to ensure Pro Tools will not be converting your audio. You can confirm this by looking under Add All. It should say Copy All instead of Convert All. If it says Copy All, then you're all good to copy all your audio files into the sessions folder, and you can rest easy knowing that no processing will be done on them and that you have set your session up correctly from the start. Also, your audio will be in the project's audio folder, which is great for organization. Now we're going to set up our playback engine so that it is optimized for mixing rather than recording. We'll do this by setting our buffer rate to 1024 samples. We'll also want to ensure that the delay compensation is turned off. You can find the delay compensation setting under the Options tab at the top. I always like to bounce a version of the original mix for A/B comparison after I'm done mixing it so that I can show off what I did for the client. A lot of people won't be able to really tell what you did if you don't drastically change the song, and as mix engineers, that's not what we do unless we're sitting with the producer or the artist directly tells us to do so. First, we will color all our tracks to match the subgroups that they belong to. I always choose orange for drums, yellow for bass, green for electric guitars, purple for keys, red for vocals. You get the drift. Color code. This is a smaller session comprised of 41 tracks, but you always want to stay organized, always. By clicking on the first track in the drums category, which is orange in this case, while holding shift, we will click the last track in the drums subgroup. This will highlight all the tracks, and from there we will hold shift option, and we'll change our output to an aux track by clicking output, then selecting new track while still holding down shift and option. This will create an aux track with all of our drum tracks routed to our new aux track. I'm not going to do this though because I'm using routing folders for this video. To create a routing folder, once you have all your tracks highlighted in the proper subgroup, you will right click on the tracks that are highlighted and select Move to, then New Folder. This will bring up the Move to New Folder window, and then you will click on the type of box and select Routing Folder. If you don't have routing folders, it just means you have an older version of Pro Tools. Routing folders were not introduced into Pro Tools until Pro Tools 2020. You will also want to check Route Tracks to New Folder and then name your folder track accordingly. I will be naming mine Drums because we are working with the drum tracks right now. Now I will repeat the process for all other subgroups I would like to create. Once your folder is created, you may click the folder icon on the folder track to close the folder and save space. I use it as a way to simply stay organized. Next, I like to always be in control of my session and refuse to let the session control me. So I gain stage using the Audio Suite plugin Gain to bring every audio level to -6 dB. A lot of people might frown upon this because I'm wrecking their mix. And as a mix engineer, it's not my job to care what the recording engineer thinks. Nor is it my job to not do my job. Setting all the audio clips to -6 dB will allow me to have full control over the session with the faders, knocking out any degree of uncertainty of what track could be the problem track if we were to start clipping in the master output track. To do this, we select our entire clip and click the button Analyze. This will tell us what our maximum sample peak is hitting at. From there, we'll just adjust our clip gain on the clip by using our math skills. For instance, this clip peaked at negative 9.6 dB, so we will be adding 3.6 dB of gain to the clip in order for it to equal out to negative 6 dB. Math skills. We will do this for all 41 tracks. This is a tedious process, however, it will ensure that you have full control over your mix instead of having different degrees of uncertainty ever. Now we can put our tracks into groups. To start this process, you will highlight all the drums. In this case, press Command G or Control G for Windows. This will cause the Create Group box to open up. Name your group properly. In this case, we'll call it Drums, and then click OK or Enter on your keyboard. Group each of the tracks to their respective mix bus counterpart. This will allow you to control all your faders in each mix group folder simultaneously. Okay, so now that all our routing folders are set up, we can now begin the process of controlling each fader so that the peak level on the actual routing folder doesn't pass negative 6 dB. Okay, so now that we're done with that, we can now create a master fader track, and you'll do that by pressing Control-Shift-N, and then you can press Command down or Command up on the keyboard in order to change it to whatever kind of track you want. In this case, we're going to put a master fader, and then if that's checked as mono, which typically it will, you can press Command left or right on the arrow keys in order to change the ambient sonics. In this case, we will put it in stereo and hit enter. Now, what we want to do is take all of our subgroups. They should all be at 0, otherwise known as unity, and we can drag them so that our master output channel does not clip over negative 6 dB. And there you have it. Now your Pro Tools session is all set up for mixing, so you can get back to doing what you really love, mixing.